to see if they do.
Thing of these, score sheets for us.
For engineering and for monitoring.
Right, but I mean, we turn those in now,
We'll wait until we get to that.
so that,
No.
You snuck in there, Adrian. You get to go back here and collect, we just have,
stand out there,
we just have to remember to collect what they're gonna do.
at least get inside the door.
We hand them to you and you combine
We
the
won't make
scores.
sure you're in it.
We'll move on. Okay.
Are there more in the hall? I mean, how many are out there?
Just a few of us,
Just-
they're behind me.
Okay.
I got a hip gun.
Can we slide on down the wall some, and
Yeah.
just so everybody can get in? Mr. Pam, open the door now, say it's time to go. He's not here. Is it time to go?
Time.
All right, good afternoon. Let's call the meeting to order. It's Tuesday, December 4th, and we're here at City Hall for our regular weekly meeting. We're gonna stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
And run back here.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna move, just right into the agenda. And as it has been in the past, those of you that are in attendance, if you, as we go through the items, you will be given an opportunity to comment as we move through the agenda. So, looks like to me the city administrator's got a long day. Take off.
Okay, fire dog. They here, fire dog?
Fire dog.
Didn't think we'll let dog do
Yes,
it.
Not that fire dog.
No cats.
Okay, we'll move on to the
We'll
next
move
one
on,
until we
okay?
get- Okay, the RFQ for engineering services, you guys have the report in your packet. Senior staff, we opened the proposals at just after 4 p.m. on Friday, the 30th. We completed a review of the 5 proposals, that, we received, and you have that report in your packet, and how we scored them. So what we need for you guys to do today is we provided score sheets. I think you guys have had the weekend to review those. So if you're ready, we could collect, Adrian could collect your sheets and compile them.
Pass mine down, please.
And do you wanna, can we move to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on,
Okay.
and then
That's for the
we'll come back.
engineering.
So the next one, is building services. This is one that, you guys don't have to independently score. We were able to make a staff recommendation on this one. We provided this report to you guys. We had 4 proposals received, and, we opened those just after 4 p.m. on Friday. And you have kind of a review of each of those vendors.
Yes, that is, we have that, and that is, as well as also we had the proposals, as well as your staff's recommendation, so if we're ready to move forward, this is, Chair will entertain a motion and or discussion.
Well, I'll make a motion for EPCI to, as our building services.
Could I ask that you, instead of making a motion just for EPCI, to
Sure.
adopt the rankings from the staff scoring, which does have EPCI as the first place?
Sure. Okay, cancel that motion. I make a motion that we adopt the staff's recommendation of the 4 permits that sent in for Charles Abbott, EPCI, Florida Building Code, and Safe Build.
It's
To accept
the
their
ranking.
recommendation,
The
to
recommendation.
accept their ranking.
Yes.
Thank you, Nick.
Second.
Adrian, you got that? Okay. We have a motion and a second, discussion?
Well, I will talk. I'm a little concerned with it. I understand that they've been with us for a long time, and I understand in this time of need, that's very important. I guess there were a couple of things that bothered me in the past. I don't think, well, I kind of feel almost like they've taken it for granted, or taken the city for granted in the past. They haven't provided, I think, the services that we should have. We've had a lot of things pass through them, come through here, and then we've had to go back and pass ordinances saying this should never have happened, and so forth. Also, what bothered me in the information that was handed out to us to review was their proposal. I took a look at it. Didn't rank them number 1, but there was something bothering me, and when I went back and looked at it against other proposals and against one also of someone else that works for their city in another ranking area, it was almost as if, well, I'm not sure it was they really wanted the job or not, because their proposal didn't cover a whole lot. Or if they were just taking us for granted that, well, we've been doing it for the past umpteen years, we're gonna get it, so why should I put a decent proposal together? And I was ranking these companies based upon proposal and what I knew, so I did not rank them first. I'm concerned if we do, I would rather, instead of doing the 3-year proposal, I think it should be a shorter proposal, because yes, they've been very valuable, they will be valuable through this period, but frankly, I would like to see them come back again in a year and say, do you really want to be with us? What we will do, come back to us as if we're a new customer, and not expect us to accept them just upon what we know. I don't like someone take me for granted, and I really felt like in their proposals, or their proposal, not more than one, that they were doing a job for the city for granted, because they certainly didn't cover the areas that several other of the companies did.
That's mine. Other comments?
I agree with you on many facets. I do feel that the last 18 months or so, we've come into problems where I don't think that they've crossed their T's and dotted their I's completely. But I think that at this point in the position we're in, they know what's going on. And to bring somebody new in now, we would be taking many steps behind, because that person would have to learn what we have been doing for the last 6 weeks.
That's the reason I said
So
I
that's-
recommended at a year instead of a 3-year contract.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with 3 years. I think things are gonna change, things are already changing, and we've dealt with them for some time. And I think some of the problems that we've wound up with has been our problem. And I think this company will be a lot more detailed with what we're doing, and, they know what's going on with the state as far as that concerned. So I'm fine with the 3-year. I just, want us as a group to be very, very conscious of what's going on with the permitting and the other things.
Yeah, I've made this comment several times, and I agree with you, Bill, about that we went back and passed ordinances, but we wouldn't have done that if we had done our due diligence at the time that the development orders were passed. So we seem to use them in the meetings that I attended as a scapegoat for that, and,
Partially. I
there
know
was
what
not,
it is.
what partially, it was totally, those development orders were signed by the city, right? Partially,
I'm not
not a
gonna
scribbly
argue. I'm not gonna
signature, it was clear that those things were passed through the city and they weren't proper.
Yeah, I'm not.
So
I'm not
we shouldn't
gonna-
use, I don't wanna use them, even though I don't think they should have ever, they definitely had some issues there, but we compounded that problem.
Okay.
So, Rex,
With 2 annual renewals, does that mean we look at it and make a decision? Is that 3 years in concrete?
I think there's a termination clause, and I'll let Nick explain that to you.
We don't have a, contract terms in place yet, but we said in our RFP, I'm almost certain that it would be a contract that we could terminate upon 30 days or 60 days notice, something like that.
and also I think it's important, just for the record, that the staff's recommendation addresses the need for EPCI to step up their game,
Yeah, okay.
okay?
I do have one quick question for staff. I don't think it would affect the final ranking, but, it looks like there were equal points on the scoring for price provided to, EPCI, I think, which I believe that would be 80% of the permit fees, and then one of the other companies proposed 75%. That was the Charles Abbott Associates firm. Could you address why they scored equally on cost? There are some other cost components that may have affected that and led to that. It's not a big difference, so it probably doesn't affect the final ranking, but just for the record.
It was pretty much 75% is what the city was doing. We didn't really give them a lot of latitude in the RFP on pricing.
The one that did have a different pricing schedule is one that's got a 5 because it was a significant rewrite of the entire process. They want an hourly rate, not a permit cost rate.
Okay, well, just for the record, if you compared 75% to 80% and you looked at that for a 25 point total there, I mean, you're talking, if you did a ratio, you might lose a point and a half. It's not a big difference. It wouldn't affect the final rankings.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Oh, yes.
Ms. Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Kathy,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Putnam.
Yes.
All right, do we wanna flip back now to 2?
Or-
Yes, you can.
Thank you all for that. And I'd like to address the fact that we don't take you for granted. We've been here a long time. We tried to provide everything, every submittal that you asked for in this RFP, and we worked on the thing over a week. So it was, if it didn't look like we were paying you proper attention, it was not intentional. We know Mexico Beach, we know the situation you're in, and let me tell you what, we've got to step up our game in order to handle this situation, but I promise you, that's gonna be done. I thank you.
Okay, thank you,
If
brother.
y'all don't mind, I'm gonna-
Okay, are we ready to go back? Tanya, are we ready to go to 2? Go
Yep.
back, okay, we're gonna backtrack to 2.
All right, your point totals are, the highest point total was Dewberry at 470, DAG at 384, H2 at 370, HG at 315, and Araminas at 305.
Okay, before we open the floor, I wanna just comment that it is my personal opinion that DAG and Dewberry deserve our attention in terms of the scope of services that we are gonna be looking at. I'm gonna suggest that we look at both of those as our engineering people to draw from. This is a bigger, I mean, we all know the relationship that we've had, and it's wonderful, but moving forward, we need some people that have maybe some other areas that can help us, and I would like to see us adopt, I don't know how the RFP is written, but can we adopt two, oh, not adopt, can we, hire two, or put two?
The RFQ is for a non-exclusive contract. You're always entitled to have multiple engineers. It is written more envisioning one firm, but I think you can hire two if you prefer that. You possibly could hear a complaint from Dewberry since they scored highest, if they were not happy about sharing the work, but it may.
Well, then they come to us and tell us that.
Right.
And if I could just add to that, in Dewberry's proposal, DAG is their subcontractor for architectural work. So I can't imagine there's gonna be an issue.
I'm only raising that now would be the time to, and again, it's gonna be on a proposal basis. It's not gonna be like you just call them up and say, hey, do this. I mean, we're gonna have,
So what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we put two of those, and I think DAG is very qualified for some of the services as we move forward. I'm suggesting that we do two.
So put two under contract, do individual task order.
Exactly.
jobs.
Exactly.
For just general day-to-day stuff, probably rely more on Dewberry.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. But as these things come up, and we're talking some significant engineering projects as we look down the road. So I think that would be, task orders would certainly be, and this is something that's been discussed before. In a different format, of course, other than what we're facing today, so, any other comments, or Chair will entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the top two, and as our engineering separate contracts.
Okay, could you identify them?
Dewberry and DAG.
If I
Yes,
could,
sir.
please make the motion that we adopt the rankings and that we try to contract with the top two.
Would
Is
make a
there
motion, we adopt the rankings and attempt to get contracts with the top two.
Second.
We have a motion second. Further discussion. Any comments? Call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Kathy.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Mr. Putnam.
Yes.
All right. Moving on, moving forward.
Okay, 4, 5, and 6, those are all RFPs that, came in yesterday at 4 PM. We have a lot of paper. We started with the monitoring because that is the one we really need to pull our employees out of. We've been self-monitoring since the storm, and it's critical that we get that one awarded, quickly. Last night, we opened the, bid packages and documented, the firms we received packages from. For monitoring, we received 10. We provided you guys a report this morning, a short report of those 10, and just, what we did is the 3 staff members, we divided those up and individually scored them on our own, and then we just put those scores in one document for you so that you could see how we scored them. And you have that before you. I know some of you have had a chance to look at the packages, some of you haven't. You may want to reconvene.
Yeah, if it's okay with council, how about at the end of this meeting, that we recess for an hour and come back and take up this topic of monitoring? Just the monitoring, that's not the others, just the monitoring.
Just not the hauling or dredging?
Just monitoring.
Okay.
No, we don't have anything on hauling and dredging. I mean,
Okay.
we have, that time has passed, but we haven't yet discussed those.
And we will be, for dredging and hauling, we'll be, doing a similar exercise, city staff, and then we hope to have that ready, all 2 of the hauling and dredging by Friday. You you guys wanted to consider scheduling a meeting on Friday to,
I think we should, if everybody's, if we can get enough folks here. So just for clarification, on monitoring, when we finish today, we're gonna recess for an hour, give everyone a chance to do their, to look at the, at least the top three that have been selected, and then we will come back and just monitor. Friday, we can set up a special meeting, preferably Friday afternoon, for me, on hauling and dredging. That good?
That's fine.
Okay?
Typically, all of this is gonna be reimbursed by FEMA.
that's the plan.
One comment for when we recess to look further at the monitoring, proposals, we did not actually create a true enforceable shortlist, so I would encourage you to look at all of the proposals. Obviously, the goal is to determine your top ranked options that you
Right.
wanna enter in contracts with, but none have actually been eliminated.
And we did not, based on the RFP, we didn't feel that staff could shortlist it, but you guys can certainly shortlist it now if you wanted to do that.
Well, unless everyone's had an opportunity to look over the packages.
Let's just do that, we can do that in after the hour, whatever time that works out, and we'll have a chance then to, at the table, discuss what our findings are.
Okay.
All right, so, how about 2 o'clock Friday for the hauling and dredging? Is that good with everybody? Or
I'll be out of town.
you be out of town?
Yes.
Bill, will you be,
I'll be here.
Jerry
Yes.
and Linda?
Yes.
All right, so 2 o'clock Friday, okay. All right, then go ahead.
You're next, Philip, you're up.
Oh, yeah, first, Phil.
Yeah, real quick, just lift station panels. I was hoping to have, we were hoping to have some quotes to show you, everybody today. We do not. We got Florida Roll Water purchased the first 6 panels for the City of Mexico Beach lift station panels. There it is. So we can get the ball rolling on our most important areas, the ones that we deem to be top priorities. So we've got 6 coming. That leaves 20 left still to order.
What they cost?
They vary.
Oh,
It depends on the
size.
station, or the station, the size of the pumps in the station and all that good stuff. But the first 6 was $149,000, somewhere in there. We got a single quote up to this point, for the other 20 at $497,600. But we're still waiting on some more quotes. The hope was to have you guys that information today to approve the purchasing of those, but we do not.
So can we put it on Friday if we need to, if they have them?
Yeah.
Do we have another meeting next week?
This Friday we're having.
Who?
it
I know we have
Friday
one Friday, but
We do have one Tuesday.
or Tuesday.
we'll put it back on the agenda for Tuesday. I know we're
Okay.
not gonna have it this week. We've
Okay.
reached out, and I know we're not gonna have it this week.
Okay.
We did have some insurance money, pocket
Still fine.
change, it's, we're not hoping,
Minimal.
minimal on the, lift station.
Yeah, the cheapest lift station panel was $22,250.
But
And our panels were only insured for $15,000.
we did put in a request to SRF to cover the others. So we, SRF, I think we've talked about this before, they set aside $5 million for all of the affected counties in water and sewer. So we, last week, put in a request, cause it was first come, first served, to purchase the rest of the panels and also address MX1. And then we also put a request in for water. So we're waiting to hear back from them, but the word was that they would be starting grant forgiveness, so essentially grant. They would be starting that as 75% of the total cost. And then hopefully insurance would make up the rest of it. So if we get that, it'll be, the city's portion will be minimal. I mean, 25% or less, based on what they told us, so.
When will they start giving grants out, do we know?
Well, we have a meeting with them on Thursday. They made it sound as if this emergency funding would have a very quick turnaround. They're still gonna require some stuff on our end as far as documentation, but the intent was get the money out, you can provide the documentation after, so.
And just a reminder, we started dialogue with SRF second week,
Yeah,
maybe even the first week after the storm,
Probably.
within 7 days after the storm, we began discussions. That's why we have Florida Rural Water, we have the first 6 lift stations paid for, and we're way ahead of the game, and our request may have been the first one in.
I think we definitely initiated that conversation first. I don't know if we were the first requesting, but we were definitely
We were on
the
their
first,
radar.
first or second.
Yeah, and so, we feel comfortable with their help.
Now, this list here does not account the panel for the master lift station and or for Sugar Sands, Farmville, whatever it's called today.
What do you mean Sugar Sand? What about Sugar Sand?
They're gonna have to, they got a lift station that they'll have
Oh,
at
okay.
Sugar Sands, and we won't pay for that panel since there wasn't one there in the first place. But I am gonna reach out to them and say, hey, look, our plans have changed, I know we agreed to this back then, but this is what we're doing now with our system, and talk to them about
I
that.
got you, I got you. Okay, anything else on the lift station?
Oh, I can talk lift stations all day, Mayor. But no, sir, that's all I got.
You're a lift station guru, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Full of it.
All right, so we're moving into number 8.
That's the pole barn issue that I believe the Fish House, requested from you guys the last meeting, I believe, to put up a pole barn for, a temporary outdoor eating area associated with a food truck. And I only have that one request from the Fish House so far.
I think it's gone away.
Is he here? No, he's not in attendance.
I talked to him Friday,
Okay.
and I suggest we just
Don't do it.
sit tight and
Okay.
Okay, 9.
Still, do you wanna speak to that? That's the, sewer and water bids for the.
Yeah, on the sewer side, as everybody knows, the west end of town, the south side, is heavily damaged. That includes the infrastructure as well, water and sewer. We're currently in the process of turning the water on, things are going well on that end. On the wastewater side of it all, things are not going so well. So what this is we simply, we're not gonna be able to handle the work. We've got 23,000 some odd linear feet of pipe that needs to be cleaned out and inspected. We've got 119 manholes that need to either be cleaned out, reset, resealed, and rehabbed, and 3 lift stations that are currently gone. Our goal is to get the wastewater service on that side of town, the south side, back sooner rather than later. In order for us to be able to do that, we're gonna need help. So this RFP for that is to get contractors in the town to help us do that. So what we're asking for is permission to do that, to put that out. And on the water side, it is for, there's work that needs to be done at the water plant over here. As everybody knows, got water inside. Work to be done inside of the yard on the main gallon tank, and we've got some water tie-ins. 37th Street, once the council figures out what we're gonna do, on 37th Street, there's gonna be some serious work over there that needs to be done.
There's one question people ask me, have we reached out to other cities to help us with any of that might have the manpower and equipment?
We had numerous municipalities in the town at the beginning of the storm and after the storm, and we did get a lot of help. But we are up and running. So the emergency portion that we faced in the beginning with the east end of town, where we had buildings that were habitable and that was most of our population was still at, that was the emergency portion of it, getting water and sewer back onto those people. On the west, and I don't wanna sound, I don't want to come off as inconsiderate or anything like that, but the emergency side for it over there, I mean, we can get a few people to come in, but we're just not gonna get a big enough team to make
To
a
make it
difference.
work, okay.
So if we get a contractor in the town who's got the equipment, who's got the capabilities, the manpower, it's gonna go by a lot quicker
Okay.
than what it would be if we contact JEA or someone like that and they sent 2 people over, cause that's what we'll get is 2, 3 people,
Okay.
and it
just-
would still cost.
I was gonna say, and just to be clear, they bill us for that,
Okay.
that's not free. So we're starting to get those invoices in.
My recommendation is that we go out for an RFP, we get a contractor, you know, like GCUC, Marshall Brothers, someone like that, who's got the knowledge and the equipment to do it. And get in here and simply just get it done. Cause we can't handle it ourselves.
And so instead of an RFP, these are actual construction bids, we're gonna have specific, is that what we're gonna do, specific, projects that we're gonna,
That's what we were talking about before the meeting was, because we're gonna, yes, to come up with an actual scope and bid it out so that we get good costs and response and the contractors know the scope. So,
It
yeah,
also
that's-
results in just a pure low price determination, responsive bidder, low price. It's not as much of a review process and a subjective review, it's just a pure price base.
And that should be FEMA reimbursable, especially if we do the right process.
Which we wanna do.
yeah, that is the plan.
When can we say it will be instead of should?
When we get our money, I think,
Right.
yes.
Well, here's what I know, we can't start the rebuild process if we can't give those services. And if we just peg along with 2 guys and a shovel and a backhoe, I mean, we'll wear everybody out doing that. I think the RFP is, I certainly support that.
Yeah.
So you just need approval for the RFP. Is there any opposition to putting that out? Okay, then,
Nope.
Approval for an RFP or approval
For bids.
bids?
for bid, yes,
Regular
yes.
construction. And if, just to be clear real quick, Mayor, it's not just the south side on the west of the town, it's from H Street to Canal Parkway on the south side and a small portion of the north side.
Does that need an official vote or just an agreement? I mean, we're not agreeing any money, we're just telling them,
No, you can avoid that for now. You'll have to have an.
Yeah, we'll have that, okay.
Authorize the contract and expense.
all right? Go ahead, Phil, is what?
That's all I got. Yes, sir.
Okay, comp plan, number 10?
10, 11, 12.
10, 11, 12 kind of go together. Just wanna give you an update, we had our first P and Z meeting last night since the storm. If you guys remember, the city was working on the updated comp plan prior to the storm. The P and Z board, reviewed the edits, the final edits. Nick had a chance to provide some edits. Linda Shelley, Linda's our, attorney who's helping us. She retired the Monday after the storm and said, "I'm yours," and we are using and abusing her. But so what the P and Z board is going to do is, we've got 2 transmittal hearings, I think, is that in the packet? The schedule for when we're gonna start moving that stuff forward, you'll see that, I'm not gonna get into too much detail about it today, I just wanna give you a high level. We're gonna probably sit tight on the comp plan for a couple of P and Z workshops in case they may want to tweak that a little bit based on some of the non-conforming structure issues that we're gonna be tackling as associated with all the damage. But they will start their first workshop next Monday, and then they have another one the following Monday, so the 10th, the 17th, to start going through the LDR. And we're gonna, there's a list of issues that our land planner has recommended we tackle. And we're gonna start hopefully with the non-conforming structure so that, people can have answers as to what they can and cannot do. But that's the plan. Want to talk to you a little bit about how we're paying for it. We have, as you know, with the comp plan changes, we were getting ready to start looking at the LDR before the storm. The price was about $53,000 to do the LDR rewrite. Didn't have the money, we kind of set it aside. We have a grant, $25,000 grant from Department of Economic Opportunity to help do this work. It's gonna be the $25,000 grant. The planner has agreed to do that work. It's Stantec. And Erin is here representing Stantec. She's, was at our P and Z, meeting last night. Understand that it's $25,000 to do this work, so I would imagine there's gonna be a lot of help associated with that, to get it done, but they've agreed to do it for the $25,000 grant. Talked to Nick about it. It's not something that we have to put out for bid. If you wanna kind of explain that to the council, why we can move forward with this?
Sure. Even under normal conditions, a planning study under 35,000 doesn't require under state law any public process to try to go out to bid. We do have our own local processes that would require us to put something like this out to bid, but we're still under state of emergency from the governor's declaration. All the local governments have been treating that as an option to waive local requirements. So you can take on this contract at the $25,000 level. Like I said, it would be at that level okay under state law anyways, and with the current state of emergency, you can waive your local requirement.
Thank you.
And it's a very good price.
Yeah, let's get- I have a question about that I've thought about several times in the moving forward. A single-family home on a conforming lot in residential general and residential low density. There are no changes projected to that.
Well, we don't have the flood maps yet, contrary to the rumor. We don't have ours. Checked with FEMA this morning, but we're gonna be looking at that. We may be looking at wind load, the 140 wind load. We have had some dialogue about that.
We're at 130.
We're at 130, but what I've heard from most of the local builders, if they build in Gulf County, they build in Mexico Beach, they're building it to 140 anyways, because Gulf County's 140.
So if you just took our zoning and you took out residential, low density residential general homes that people are wanting to rebuild, we aren't in a position to give them a permit.
Not until we have the preliminary FEMA maps, and we make a decision
Now,
on
the FEMA
that.
map is gonna give us what? What is that gonna
It's
identify?
gonna give us the updated maps, the floodplains.
So if you
and
get a
then-
flood elevation, that's what will change where the guy puts the nail in the pole for the flood elevation.
And you may recall Gulf County last week, I think I read in the paper, they, bumped theirs up 2 feet.
Yeah, they bumped theirs
Just for
up
6
2 feet.
months. I'm not sure,
Yeah, that was confusing and I didn't try to figure it out.
yeah, I'm hoping it's
Oh.
just incorrect, but that's what we'll be looking at.
And we expect that, just on task, we put a 90-day moratorium. Or is that sort of on the fast track?
It's on a very fast track. It's on a very fast track. I mean, we believe that we owe it to people to be able to get back up and running and start rebuilding. And, we may phase it in, we may, if we get the base flood elevation from FEMA and we can figure out what we wanna do with those quickly, then people who are conforming structures, we should be able to let them go. But we're hoping to have this complete by mid-February to meet the moratorium so that people can get going. That's our goal.
Now, the FEMA, I'm just confused, so bear with me. The FEMA coastal flood map, if I heard at the business meeting a couple weeks ago or last week, they said that a one-time event doesn't change, don't expect that to change. So, what, are we just waiting on confirmation that it didn't change?
No, the one-time event won't change the map per se,
Right.
but if you remember 2017, our maps changed.
Changed, they
We
did.
still don't have those maps. Those are the preliminary maps we're waiting on. And then we're gonna have to make some assumptions based on storm surge, from this last event as to what we wanna do here locally. That's what Gulf County did with the 2 feet. They took their preliminary maps and said, yeah, well, Michael's not on here, but we know what happened, so we're gonna raise it 2 feet. And that's essentially what we will be doing. but our maps were, redrawn in 2017. It takes 2 to 3 years to get those final maps, so we still don't have our maps from 2017, which is why we will see
So
some
will that
change.
change the AE and the AV and the EV or AV or, I get those numbers letters?
It could.
It could change those,
Mm-hmm.
and X may not be X.
Correct.
That's correct.
And we expect to hear from, and we expect to get something from them?
They committed in our FEMA meeting, I don't know, it's been about a month ago, we have so many, it's hard to keep up, but, by the end of November. So we're expecting something this week. I did reach out this morning and those maps are not ready yet, but I'm hoping to
And
get an
is
answer.
it fair assessment then to say that if it does change and a person doesn't do that, they just won't qualify for flood insurance?
That could be.
But it's not that, that's a I mean, we won't give them a building permit. It's just that if they choose to not conform to that, whatever that height is, that they just won't qualify.
If they're substantially damaged, they're gonna have to conform.
Right,
If
but-
they're not substantially damaged, that's up to them.
And they build, or they're gone and they wanna build at a lower level than the,
They can't, they'll have to follow whatever the current code is. But if you're substantially damaged, you're gonna
that's
have
right,
to
that's
go
where, okay.
with the
So if you're if you fall into that category, you have no choice but to build at the new code.
Yeah.
If you're under that, you can repair or fix back at the same.
Correct.
Tony, were you saying we might have that by the end of November, knowing our preliminary flood maps?
That's what they told us weeks ago, we would have them by the end of November. I just checked today, we still.
It's December 4th.
They don't know.
Get that.
They lost track.
You got that, didn't you, Jack?
It's the government calendar and ours.
Yeah, and that's a good point, we can't even call them preliminary, when we get them, we have to use the term best available. So, we're gonna have to, take a really good look at those and.
And Gulf County did do the +2 for temporary while they're dealing with their FEMA. Today at the Fort St. Joe meeting, they did the same, but they tabled it, but they're both talking +2.
Yeah,
But they're further along in their mapping process too, they
Yeah,
have preliminary.
they adopted their preliminary
Yeah.
yes,
maps.
they have maps, we don't, it's the.
Why do they have maps and we don't?
Yeah.
Ours were just.
Substantial damage, is that related to flood or what?
It's related to flood, but it's for any construction on your 50%. That's
Well, I was
been on the
told
books wrong.
But it was 100% wind, the water never approached the foundation. And I still have a slab on grade there now.
But if you rebuild, you have to rebuild to new code.
Oh, yeah, but,
the new flood elevation. If it changes for you, you'll have to.
one time, if I didn't get wet this time, I don't think I'd ever get wet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my house we moved in December the 1st last year. My house was built with all the codes and everything. And I'm at a standstill. We've had service master come in, they took down the sheetrock from 4 feet, took the carpet up, dried the house out, and they're willing to give us a 5-year guarantee against mold and everything. But I got 3 different contractors, and can they get a permit to redo my house before we gotta wait till February?
Depends on your SE.
What is your damage report?
Have you got your damage report? Is it under 50?
No, it's not. All we got to do is get someone in there to put the 4 foot of, sheet drywall, and put the thing behind it and put the new floor. Nothing was damaged inside the
And then
house.
while you would be over 50%.
Well, the city should have, you need to get your
Yeah.
number from the city, which they
Okay.
already have,
You should be
and
in.
then you can get your permits.
All,
and-
then-
all you need to do is, Wilson, is come to the, building department and they can tell you if
Okay,
you're under, over, and if you're under, you can get your permits and get started.
I'm just ready.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
I just-
Ready.
Go ahead,
It
Jack.
should be fine.
I just wanted to comment on
Hang on a minute, I'll get it.
one
Yeah.
thing. We were talking, this was started off with the comp plan and the LDR, and this comp plan's been going on for about a year, and the planning and zoning, and I attended several meetings. Lisa was there, we were the ones there. I would just ask the city if they could put things
on hold on some of that stuff. There were some changes in there that are gonna affect people. And there's stuff that didn't change that may affect people if the flood zone changes, like height, things like that. So I know they're trying to get it through, cause they've worked on it so long, but now we have a opportune time to really, we're gonna have to revisit it, cause there were things in there.
I think that's what we're doing.
No, I mean, revisit it as a, like, not just, I ain't saying start from scratch one, but this was already getting ready to send to the state for some preliminary approval before it got to y'all.
Yeah, no, that's not accurate.
No. I mean, not approval, they were,
No, it
What
hadn't
do we
even, it
call
had
it?
not even gone before the council yet, so.
okay,
we're
it
not
has to go
even-
before y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just,
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna do the due diligence that it takes to ensure that whatever the changes are will be properly vetted, let me put it that way.
okay.
It won't be, I mean, I don't even know the 5 elected officials,
Yeah, I haven't
unless
seen it.
they happen to be at one of those meetings, don't even know
Yeah.
what those are.
Well, there were some things like. if
But
the
we
flood
haven't
zone-
addressed them, is my point.
Yeah.
We haven't addressed them.
I'll
Okay.
give a brief overview on these different documents that we may be amending. So something like wind loads, flood zones, that's actually not going to be something that's really driven by our land development regulations or our comprehensive plan. Those happen outside of those documents. The wind loads, that's gonna be a local amendment from Florida Building Code, it's a separate process. The flood zone stuff is in our floodplain ordinance, and a lot of it's gonna be driven by FEMA. So what we have done as a city, a lot of work on, are potential amendments to the comprehensive plan. Now, this council hasn't really focused on that yet, that's been the P and Z board working on that, they worked on it all year, and they're pretty close on that. We're just starting potential amendments to land development regulations, that's what Ms. Shelley's gonna be working on, and the new planner we just hired is gonna be working on with the P and Z board, so that's at a very early stage. Comprehensive plan is much further along, but the comprehensive plan rules are supposed to be broad, land development regulation rules are supposed to be more detailed. So the only step we're far along in is the comprehensive plan.
I'm sure everybody understood that.
I'm just gonna give you a little help on substantial damage. You got two different categories there. Substantial damage per FEMA, more than 50% damage of your market value of structure. And there's various definitions of market value, so you know you'll be dealing with that. The building code, we have a Florida existing building code, which is part of the Florida codes. And that has various degrees of damage. If your roof is more than 25% damage, you gotta replace the whole roof. You gotta bring the whole roof up to code. Windows, I think there's a number in there, percentage, that if you're replacing so many windows, then you gotta bring all the windows up to code. So, as far as construction standards, there's no definite, 50% you gotta do it. It goes back to each system as far as the building code, but FEMA is 50% of market value of the structure. Then if you're over that, that's where you get your substantial damage. And of course, substantial damage simply means you must bring it up to current code. That may include raising the structure and of course addressing all the Florida building codes that has to apply to the building today. So I just want to say that, I'll get out of your hair.
That's a good point. I mean, to summarize what Bo just said, if you're out there pulling permits for repairs, they gotta be the code.
Okay. All right, moving on. 13.
Alcohol sales for temporary structures, the council, you have an ordinance, you're gonna have your second reading next week on allowing the business owners to, our former restaurants, to, operate out of food trucks. Mango Marley's now has their tent set up and they're up and running. If you guys haven't been to the Mango Marley's food truck, please go and, give them your business. They need, ATF needs the council to vote to allow them to extend their serving area from inside that building to outside under that tent. So, they have asked that of you guys, and if you're willing to do that, then we can get a letter out for them so they can give that to ATF.
I don't have,
I don't have a
I don't have.
Make a
problem with
motion.
that.
I think that needs a motion, second, and council approves.
Make a motion that we give the trailers, or get a letter to, I guess it's a state, to allow our trailers to utilize their alcohol license while they're under trailer, under tents.
Nick, does that sound right?
Temporary.
Well,
Temporary.
I'm gonna have to defer to Tammy, cause I haven't had the conversations with ATF. Will that cover what they're looking for?
Just need a vote and a letter.
Yes,
All right, have a second to that? Discussion? Call the roll?
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes.
Will they start that today?
Will they cater is what we're asking.
It's a first drink free.
All right. 14.
Is the Chief Kelly in here?
I'm the closest you got, what you need from me.
I'll just mention it, we had a donation from WatchGuard. They donated 7 high-tech body cams to the police department. Really nice, top of the line,
Cool.
body cams we would never be able to afford. So, we just wanna, the chief wanted everyone to know that, and we appreciate that donation.
Absolutely.
Is fire dog here?
Fire dogs here, do we have fire dog here yet?
I haven't seen.
Oh,
Hey,
I haven't seen him.
all right, we're waiting on you.
All right.
You're up.
All right. Well, we're doing fiber to the home in the community at Sugar Sands, and so when we came down here, our office is in Panama City Beach. We're headquartered out of Atlanta. And we were just wondering, is anyone interested in some good internet and TV and phone service? Folks I thought when the power went out, you know, the first thing they said was, why doesn't the internet? We got flooded with thousands of calls. They're like, why did the internet stop working? They were more worried about the internet than the power. But I'm just here to tell you what we're doing, and we also are working with Wind Talkers on smart city technology, things like that. And I didn't know if that was something that y'all be interested in, but I just want to hear what y'all were looking for, how we could help out economically.
What are you doing?
Bringing in fiber, internet, TV, and phone to the homes in Sugar Sands.
Oh,
Instead of broadband, it's, a gig to the house.
And it's underground.
And it's all underground, yeah, all our
oh,
infrastructure.
2 inches or 6 or 8?
Is Brian out there? I think we're at 3 feet. He's the
3
fiber
feet.
guy.
Mediocre, Tom.
Where are you bringing it from?
Yeah.
We're bringing it from Atlanta
No,
down
where
here
Where are you bringing it to
to
Sugar
our
Sands?
office. Yes, sir, from Panama City Beach all the way over to Sugar Sands.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. You're coming, and how would you get to our city?
Well, that is, once again, it depends on, we already got a route to Sugar Sands, but it depends on, we have the ability to, we have our own borders. We can keep come down, headed east.
Well, I don't know a lot about smart cities other than what I've been reading, and especially in the last 60 days. I like the concept. Would you give us some kind of proposal?
Sure.
Plus, we have to have, help me, Nick, but I think the city has to have some, like we have a MediaCom, we have with all of it. Hey.
Some type of franchise agreement.
Yeah, franchise agreement to, I'm not sure, would this be a competing company with, quote, Consolidated and MediaCom and? I certainly would like to see a proposal, I can tell you.
Yeah.
We believe competition is good.
Amen.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So companies that do communication services, telecommunication services, they're entitled to use the right of ways already.
Right.
There's different statutes.
They just have to have our sanction to operate in the city.
So I guess what I'd be wondering is, are you just looking for authorization to do construction, or do you need a cost sharing, or, I don't really know what the.
We just wanted to introduce ourselves. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just looking at how we can help, rebuild the
Come back.
community.
I can speak for me, I'd like for you to come back and give it and show us what you can do, cause I won't tell you but I'm low down on the pole in terms, for me personally, of understanding.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that for the city, I think that would be awesome to have an opportunity to see what you can offer us.
We'd be glad to.
Why did you come up with a name like Fire Dog?
Well, that's the IT side of things. It's Fire Dog to the rescue. we're Gulf Coast FiberNet here, which is a division of Southern Fiber. So, Fire Dog, that was the whole concept to help people out.
Oh.
That has been here 26 years.
Wouldn't that be the right path for us to say, hey, come and talk to us and show us what you can offer?
Be glad
We
to.
did that when MediaCom came in. And they just gave us a
Why?
what we need. This is, we're gonna have a nice meeting.
Do you share any of that for the city, or you?
Absolutely, we wanna help with the infrastructure too, and so if it comes to the point where we're not trying to sell you something, I'm one of the co-founders of the company, if we can help light up your buildings, you know, we wanna work to help the economic, prosperity of the region build up.
Well, I think
And internet is a big
draw.
thing.
Isn't that a big thing nowadays that people, now they don't know what it's like not have the internet.
Mhm.
Well, we know what it's like not to have a phone.
Well, like not having your phone, did it? Well,
Fiber's a whole different place to learn.
other questions, or, I mean, I'm not sure I know what to ask him. Jerry asked him, but he didn't understand what he told him, so.
I don't even know what I asked her.
Competition.
So you can bring us some written things about your company, about what goes on, and what you can present to us
Mhm.
at a cost, at no cost, at some cost, at a reasonable cost, whatever. And how you're going to compete with the other people that are already here, so that we can look at all this together.
Right.
And I think everybody in this room is interested in somebody that can compete.
Well, we wanna open a dialogue and just throw stuff out there for y'all to think about it, but like I said, when I first started talking, I think competition is a good thing. I think you should choose a provider based on how they provide. And right now, as you've seen, I don't have a whole lot of options, and one of the things that we do at our company is, we're the founders, and we will still be accessible even to the customers if somebody's not happy. The founders will go out there and make sure it gets done right, and that's just our principle.
When could you, we just know that it appears that we are interested in your concept and what you do. And we would like to hear back from you.
All right.
Yeah, quickly.
Is that?
Yes, sir.
Right? Is that a fair assessment now?
Yes.
Okay?
So Mayor, if I could suggest, we'll get together we'll get you and we'll, get in a room with city staff and talk about public needs with the city, and then give you, some more information on the needs of our citizens and.
Look forward to it.
Okay?
Thank y'all.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Okay, so we're down to miscellaneous. Where do we start? Kenny, you have miscellaneous?
I just have one.
Okay.
MX1, our master lift station, it's in triage, best way to put it. We're on temporary power source. I think we can only run one pump. It's requiring a lot of time and effort, to keep it moving. We, again, as Nick mentioned earlier, under emergency, we can go ahead and get this taken care of. It's $34,000, $32,000 hit. You wanna explain a little bit about what you're doing?
Master lift station, obviously that's where everything goes, that's where it's the end of the line, so to speak, in town. Currently, the I call it the transformer room, the building, the power building is gone, it's out of commission. We have no line power going down to those pumps. So we're running everything off of 2 bypass pumps and 100 kW pump. And what we need is to be able to hook it into the line power so we can run multiple pumps at one time. 100 kW it's not gonna do it. The other, what's today? Tuesday? Sunday, when all that rain came through, we have a lot of I&I going into the system right now. And our current, the way we're set up right now, cannot handle it. It can't handle it. So it overflowed. We reported it and all that good stuff, but it overflowed at the master lift station, at the manhole, and got into Salt Creek. So this will give us a temporary power source. This is not a permanent fix. This is a temporary fix. But it is an emergency fix that we absolutely need to get done yesterday.
And it was also included in that SRF request for emergency funds, so theoretically, we're gonna get 75% of it paid for.
So what we're gonna do is we'll put a panel down there so that we can hook our pumps to the line power, so that we can have the power, the volts and the amps that we need to run multiple pumps. We have 3 75 horsepower pumps that could handle the load, that we need to get working.
So we're asking the council to approve that purchase.
Okay.
That's gonna-
Everybody heard? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion,
So
more
moved,
discussion?
so moved.
Got a-
Second,
Got a motion, second, discussion? Any opposition to that? All right, then we need to get it going.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be sending it. One thing I might mention, I've had people complaining, I don't know how much rain we had.
8 inches.
8 inches of rain. Well, okay. But I don't know how folks living here can expect our drainage system to even halfway work. Because there's, I don't know if you haven't looked lately, there's stuff in every spot on town. There are cars in the ditches, there are boats in the ditches, trees in the ditches. So because the water backs up, and I've seen 2 or 3 places where it's nearly up to their house. That, until we can get those drainage ditches straightened out, and we can't afford to pull these guys off of doing what they're doing to try to get the sewer and the water to these places that I consider that's most important. So I just wanted to mention that because I've had too many people talk to me about why this can't be done, this can't be done, and I try to explain to them in a sensible, slow-moving reaction to their question, so that they understand me talking straight to the point without hurting anybody's feelings. I hope you understand that I'm trying to be a nice person.
I was thinking the same thing.
Ken, you have other miscellaneous?
I do.
Well,
Go ahead.
I just have, no, I just have a feel-good story.
Well, make us feel good.
I received a check, and this was in the Star, and if you read it, great, if you didn't read it, I'm gonna share with you. I received a check for $220 a couple weeks ago, and from a young girl from Elburn, Illinois. And their school was having a movie night, and she thought that she would have a bake sale for the people in Mexico Beach, Florida, that just got hit from Hurricane Michael. So she approached the principal and said what she'd like to do. And Laura, the current principal, said, the first principal of this school lives in Mexico Beach and lost her house. And this girl didn't know me, her mother doesn't know me. And so, she sent pictures, she sent a check for $220 that they collected at their bake sale. So we have a common thread from Elburn, and I passed it on to MBARA, and I earmarked it for the beach walks, because all kids like to go to the beach. So,
Go ahead.
thank you,
That is
Paige
a
Fay.
feel-good story.
Yeah.
Hey Linda, there's a surprise on my desk that also came in the mail yesterday
Oh,
from
really?
somebody up there for you.
Oh, okay, great.
Thanks again.
Yeah, just encourage us to keep people, informed about FEMA trailers. I hear, some things that council won't let FEMA trailers come in here, and then, today I hear FEMA's calling them saying, you need a trailer, so I didn't know I didn't know if FEMA trailers were gonna come in here, if we had made any decisions. I didn't know we had made any decisions. And two, about debris hauling, who's hauling debris, what do you do, getting it to the road, is FEMA gonna pick it up, and things like that. Just information out there that seems to be confusing to people.
I'd like to answer the FEMA trailer issue. And people are getting different stories, but FEMA knows what they're doing, on this. FEMA trailers, you can have a FEMA trailer, and Rustic Sands or Angela Estates are 2 mobile home parks. If you had a trailer damage there, they'll put a FEMA trailer there. Within the city, no FEMA trailers, but they can have an RV, and many of our citizens are getting the RVs from FEMA, through FEMA, until they can rebuild. So that's what we're doing, but there are no FEMA trailers anywhere in the city except at the 2 mobile home parks.
Approved mobile home sites.
And I had heard, somebody said that FEMA was furnishing RVs.
They are.
Okay, they are.
That's the FEMA, if you're
Okay.
in on a lot, they'll
Only-
furnish an RV for that lot.
Do they have to get a permit for that?
Yes.
Okay, well, thought FEMA could do no wrong, but.
You're saying a lot where a house was?
Yes.
Okay.
Under the RV ordinance that you guys are adopting next.
Gotcha, okay.
So that's where people are going to rebuild?
Yes.
What if they, okay.
Anything else, Rick?
No.
I have a question. I live in Rustic Sands, mobile home. There are no sites, there are no mobile home sites there. I'm just wondering where the FEMA trailers are going.
Those are the 2 places they can put them. I
We
can't
wouldn't,
answer
we
that.
wouldn't know that, I mean, where
Yeah.
those sites are at.
It's now Rustic Lakes.
No.
Adrian, did you have,
I'd just like to mention, there's a couple of deadlines that citizens need to be sure that they're aware of. If you have not signed up with FEMA, you need to do so immediately. The deadline is, at this point, is December the 10th. And then the SBA deadline for anyone who would like to apply for an SBA loan. We do have them out here, the SBDC bus is out here, you can apply directly there. And that deadline at this point is December the 7th. I'm sorry, December the 10th. Thank you. Oh, there's our SBDC rep right here. Thank you.
Bill? Nick?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention before we recess to further review these monitoring proposals, just take something off your plate. The pricing component, it's a black and white straightforward numerical formula. I'll get with Tanya on that and we'll do those calculations. So your focus should be on the first 4 criteria and we'll have numbers for you on pricing. The other thing I wanted to mention is just, I just really wanted to commend all the citizens, the staff, the council. I'm here about once a week for about half a day. I live in Panama City. We had a lot of damage, but it's coming along quicker, and I think people have really been impressive with their attitude and their spirit, and people are doing really well here.
We think so. All right, I've got a couple things. The first thing I have, I would like to offer the council and get approval for an amendment to the interim city administrator's contract. As you know, this is, everyone is aware that we did not go out and hire an interim city administrator under the conditions that we have today. And I'm going to recommend that we go to the $65 an hour, up to 40 hours per week, and then be extremely conscious of the overtime that we all are aware that it will definitely be involved, but I think Tanya has demonstrated, I mean, she doesn't want to work 60 hours a week either, so, but there will certainly be some, but I think that that is more in line and fair with what we, and it's also very close to the loaded rate of what we were paying when we had a, quote, employee as a city administrator. So, with that being said, I would ask for a motion to make those changes and amendments to that contract.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Any opposition? Let the record reflect, that's 5-0. All right, the next thing I have is, I received a letter today, I gave it to Tanya, about the Bay County Task Force. They very much want us to have someone be a member of that we are a member of Bay County. They have reached out to me to ask at this meeting if we could get a volunteer, an elected official that would attend that task force meeting, which is Thursday. I don't have that letter, I gave it to you.
It's important, it's gonna have a little bit to do with some funding options.
Yes,
too,
and,
so.
and I'm not in a position to appoint anyone, I'm simply here to ask you, would someone volunteer to be, I'm just not in a position, it doesn't have to be me, it can just be an elected official that would attend and be part of that meeting to give us back information on how we're gonna proceed with the recovery. So it has a lot of financial stuff in it. So, we can short straw it, or we can get a volunteer. Is anybody who can do that?
I got with your wife Thursday.
I'm gonna be here.
She won't be here Thursday? Oh, she didn't tell me that.
And I don't know that,
What
I'm not
time?
asking that it be, that you're getting assigned to go to every meeting. I'm saying this is the inaugural meeting. I'm out of town. I can't be here.
So Gail's not gonna be in town Thursday?
There's gonna be some subsets, and if we all wanted to split it after this, you can all have a subset as well.
That's why I said it's not,
What time?
huh?
What time? Where? You don't know?
It's on
Well,
my
she's
desk.
got the letter.
I've got the
You gotta
letter.
volunteer.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I was
Thank you,
supposed to be
Linda.
going out with Rex's wife Thursday, but since she's out of town, I don't have an
Grandchildren.
excuse.
All right.
Christmas
All
programs.
right, Tanya, will you get that information, and Linda, will you, thank you for doing that, and then you can, I think if we go, send someone, we get a feel for what's being done, the importance of it. I think that Mexico Beach needs to, I just feel that it would be a good thing.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. And I have a feel-good story that I got today, and I wanna share it. This is from Noonan High School in LaGrange, Georgia, and it's a check for $995,
Oh,
and it is from some kids. Community came together, raised funds at the school in relief. Please accept this not monetary donation. And, I would hope that we would, I don't know exactly how we have been addressing these, but we would acknowledge this school. And, wow,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. So what's the proper money? And here's the envelope. Okay, Dean, I didn't get you. Do you have any miscellaneous? Adrian, we passed you up.
I butted in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Philip,
Yeah, Linda butted in, but she's
Yeah.
going to the meeting
I'm
Thursday, so it's
sorry.
okay. All right, go ahead.
Just a quick update real quick. I got an email from DOT, this past Friday. They sent me the plans for the 98 repair work. I'm still waiting on the, ETA when that project's gonna begin, but it's gonna begin very soon. So,
Can they possibly,
no.
could I bring my tractor and scrape the road a little bit and get?
All right, we're gonna recess the meeting for 1 hour.
3:15.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You skipped me right over. Damn.
Was on purpose.
Underwater.
That's amazing that you allowed me to do this.
What's happening, and maybe I missed this the last meeting, the people, like the person that lives behind me, had a lot of trees. I had no trees, but I wound up with 4 big trees on my property. So, they need to do some trimming over there. The person next to me, who missed their big tree, is already lining that up. So, is the individual going to be responsible for cleaning and cutting down their half-fallen trees, 2/3 fallen trees, whatever? Do we have volunteers in town that are still doing that? And if no one says, hey, I'm not gonna do that, when does the city say, yes, you need to do this? Or are we going to say, yes, you need to do this? That's a question.
I could probably help you out with an answer. I'm Ryan Kelly with Landfall Strategies. The meeting you guys are going into here, whoever you guys choose is gonna help you out with that process. There is, dollars that you can request from FEMA to do what they call private property debris removal. And we can enter into, an agreement with FEMA to allow that. They've already greenlit it for personal property, not for commercial property.
Okay.
But there is funding available for that.
From personal experience, when your neighbor's tree falls to your land, when it crosses the property line,
It's your
it's
tree.
your
That's
tree.
not your tree. That is your tree up until,
Yeah, that's really nice.
yeah.
So my next door neighbor can call you and you can come in and cut the trees?
We're just your monitors, but your hauler, should have staff available that will be.
We've
reimbursed.
discussed that.
Yeah.
before about those going on private property.
But if you get volunteer groups in there to help you, you can push that stuff out to the right of way and it becomes eligible for pickup.
No charge.
Well, you're paying for it, but
Well,
you're
the
getting
city
reimbursed.
will answer those questions for you, I'll be happy to answer those for you.
Well, that's good.
Go ahead, Bill.
Just like to make a comment and, compliment the city on the efficiency and timeliness of their pickup debris and removal of the right of ways. You're putting, Gulf County and Fort St. Joe to shame. It's really depressing to go
Thank you.
down through Windmark. Thank you for your timeliness.
Is there any,
Kudos
just
to
public
Philip for
comments?
getting on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick one on the canal, just curious, when y'all award a company and we start that, is that a 3 months, 6 months, what are we hoping for, do we know that answer?
Don't know that answer.
All right, we're gonna recess this meeting?
3:15.
What time is it?
It's 2:14.
Okay, so at 3:15, we're gonna reconvene and deal with the monitoring, code.
I'm gonna leave the
Thank
radio
everyone for
open, I'm
coming.
just gonna mute it. Okay, hit the green button on that, and it's gonna stay open until then.
Steve.
See you tonight.